Hi, I'm Nafisa Latic, and this is Across the Balkans. Today on the show, the region grapples with a wave of Ukrainian refugees as Russia continues its assault on their country. Balkan nations have already said they will open their doors to people fleeing. It's estimated up to 5 million could cross into Eastern Europe. More than two-thirds of that have already made it in the 2 weeks of fighting. The UN has called it Europe's fastest-growing refugee crisis since World War II. Most are fleeing to Poland, Hungary and Slovakia, but significant numbers have also escaped to Moldova and Romania. And other Balkan nations say they are prepared to resettle thousands of displaced Ukrainians. Ali Mustafa has more.
Ukraine is not part of the Balkans, but the events that are taking place here, with scenes like this, thousands of desperate people all over the place trying to make their way out from the war zone. The war in Ukraine can potentially impact what is happening in the Balkans. It already has. We're getting reports that NATO military aircraft and troops are arriving in various states in the Balkan in preparation for what could be an expansion of Russia's influence and Russian activity in this region. But at the same time, you have to keep in mind that Russia is already there in places like the Republika Srpska, for example. Bosnia-Herzegovina has its own problems. Serbia, which is allied with the Russians, is also an area of concern. So all this that you see around me, this mass exodus of people might not directly impact the Balkans, that most of these people aren't heading to the Balkans. They're mostly heading to Poland, the Czech Republic, and so on and so forth. But the impact of the crisis in Ukraine, this Russian-led war, will certainly affect the Balkans as well.
As we were mentioning, hundreds of thousands of people have already arrived in the region, and neighboring Romania has taken more than 140,000 people since the offensive started on February 24th. My guest today is Gabriela Leu. She is the spokesperson for Unhcr Romania. Gabriela, thanks so much for coming in on Across the Balkans. You have been visiting the border with Ukraine regularly. You have spent so much time there. Give us a sense of the situation at the moment.
Good morning. It is very simple to describe. People continue to arrive, and what we see every day is mainly women, children, and elderly people. They are cold, they are frightened, and they need help. So we have several border crossing points between Ukraine and Romania, and you can see the same at every border crossing point. The same heartbreaking images of people that are completely lost, and that have lost their home, they have lost their place, and are looking now for a safe place to live in.
And you have been talking to them. Give us a sense of their mood and the condition that they're in at the moment.
It is very difficult. I mean, it is also very emotional when you see them. People have literally one bag, you know, like they have taken with them one piece of luggage. They have taken with them maybe sometimes their dog, their cat. So you can see they are it looks like they don't believe what is going on. All they are saying is that we need to get here, we need to get there, we need to meet our family, which is here in Romania or further away. And you know, it's like people are leaving to see the next step, or to get over the next step, which is moving, in this case, from the border to a safe place, or to move from the border where they have been waiting for hours, maybe outside in the cold, to move into a place where they can get a hot tea, or to get to a place that is warm. And then there is a sense of what next? What are we doing now? How is our life going to be? I mean, it's like a really desperate and heartbreaking scenes that we are seeing every day and every night at every border crossing point. There is one thing, though, that we have to that brings a little bit of hope in all this desperate picture, and this is the generosity and the solidarity that have been like all over the countries that are neighboring Ukraine. Even
Gabriela,
in Romania.
what help is Bucharest and Romanians offering to Ukrainians?
Everything that you can imagine. There is a like tremendous mobilization from the civil society, from people that are coming from all over the country to the border points, or now that many refugees are in different parts of Romania. They are trying to help, offer accommodation, offer transport, food, hygiene items, psychological help, and this is done by government, by civil society, and by our organization as well. So it's like a wave of solidarity and a wave of help that goes towards the Ukrainian refugees.
And what do they need the most at this moment? What do they, when they arrive at the border, what is the first thing that they ask for?
I think what they need most is protection, and protection can take different forms. First of all, they need a place to stay, and if they want to apply for asylum, they will go to an asylum or reception center. If they are not applying for asylum, they will be offered accommodation by stay or by private accommodation. So the first thing that they need, maybe there is medical help. Many refugees went to hospital because they have been for so many days on the road, and they feel cold, or maybe they are sick, simply like this. Children also, there are lots of children that are coming, and so they need immediate medical help. They also need a psychological assistance, and it is understandable. There is a trauma that refugees are going through, and once they get to a place where they are physically safe, then the trauma starts to
kick in. Gabriela, something was very interesting to me that you've said. You've said most of these people, they are in shock. They don't know what's going on. They didn't expect this. Tell us more about this. What is actually the psychological state that they are in at the moment?
We managed to talk to some of them, but you have to picture the fact that when they are crossing the border, they look around, and the only thing that they are saying that very moment is, how do I get to this place? How do I find the transport? I mean, it is this immediate need that they have. It's like planning the next step is very important.
Can you offer them the next step? What do they actually want? Do they want to stay in Romania? Do they want to go to other places in Europe? Obviously, the ones who have relatives in Romania would prefer to stay there. But can you give them answers? Can the government in Romania give them any kind of answers here?
Yes, definitely. Every border crossing point has like different ways of organizing, and the transport is organized for them. Accommodation is organized. They are getting to different parts of the country where, again, local authorities and civil society is helping them with these first steps. And what is very important, and we are playing an important role in that, they need information. They need what they have to do, to understand what is the next step legally, what is their legal status, how they can cross the border further into different countries where they have family and friends. So this is very important for them to understand exactly what is their status. We implemented together with the government an information platform which is called Dopomoha, which means help in Ukrainian. And then we have partnership with radio stations that can broadcast in such a way that they can be heard across the border in Ukraine. So people that are coming, they find out about this. If they don't, at the border we have information points with all this material that tell them there are like many answers for them what they have to do if they want to apply for asylum, if they want to move further, if they want to stay in Romania.
Gabriela, a couple of weeks ago, the NGOs in Romania have been warning that the country is not ready for a massive influx of people. More and more people are expected to arrive in different countries, not just in Romania. Is the country ready for next wave of refugees? I mean, they're coming every moment. We are seeing different numbers coming in. The UN High Commissioner already said this is logistical nightmare. What is your assessment? Can Romania handle this in the coming weeks?
So first of all, we need to understand that for the past years, the average number of people, asylum seekers arriving to Romania was around 2,000. Last year, we had 10,000 people arriving in Romania, and that was already the highest number ever. So now, as of today, we have 80,000 people in the country. So this is, how to say, this is not ordinary world that we are living in. Lots of people are coming. So the government and the authorities had to very fast expand all the systems that are in place, the asylum system, the reception systems that are in place in order to accommodate this high number of refugees. Here, it is very important to say that there is a mechanism of coordination by the state with civil society and with our also participation on behalf of the UN agency. And this mechanism is coordinating, on one hand, the needs that these people have, and on the other hand, the help that we get offered from different parts of the world. So through this mechanism of coordination, basically, we managed to put the needs and the help together.
And what about Romanians? What's been reaction among them to this crisis suddenly at its borders?
Overwhelmingly positive and welcoming. I'm telling you, this is all that everyone is talking about. Everyone is asking how they can help, and I think this is fantastic. I mean, there is such solidarity and such like display of humanity that I think very rarely one can see in a country or in any country. Absolutely amazing.
Gabriela Leu, thanks so much for giving us an update from the borders in Romania. She's a spokesperson for UNHCR. Thank you so much. It's time to take a look at some other Ukraine-related stories making headlines in the region this week. In Serbia, far-right demonstrators held a rally in support of Russia. They chanted pro-Russian slogans as they marched through central Belgrade, waving Russian flags. Right-wing group People's Patrol warned if Serbia imposes sanctions on Russia, twice as many people will be out on the streets. The European Union peacekeeping force in Bosnia has announced France would conduct fast jet training flights over Bosnia as a part of attempts to stave off potential instability following Russia's attacks on Ukraine. EU4 is also sending troops to the country. The first group of soldiers from Austria, Bulgaria, Romania and Slovakia have already arrived in Bosnia. And Bulgarian Prime Minister Kirill Petkov said his country will no longer be soft on Russia, but adds Sofia still has red lines when responding to Russia's attacks on Ukraine. Having strong ties with Moscow for years, Petkov this time is showing strong support for NATO and EU decisions. However, he underlined Bulgaria is only providing humanitarian assistance to Ukraine, not sending any weapons. Let's go now to Croatia, which says all Ukrainians are welcome to take shelter in their country. There are already around 200 refugees who arrived since the beginning of Russia's attack. Officials have announced that Croatia can currently host around 3,500 people and is planning to receive up to 17,000 Ukrainians. Accommodation units are being prepared all over the country, especially in the capital Zagreb and in Slavonia. Veljko Skenderija has met some of the Ukrainians who are there.
примерно там оповещает, что мы с опозданием приедем. Давай, покажи пока-пока. Пока-пока-пока.
Oля and her one-year-old daughter were some of the first Ukrainian refugees to come to Croatia. Her husband stayed behind in the port of Odessa to fight. Most of the refugees are women and children. They come from all parts of Ukraine. And they arrive exhausted, hungry, and above all traumatized. They have few belongings, but they come with plenty of gratitude.
Дякуємо. Слава Україні!
Natalia, a Red Cross volunteer, is translating for refugees, but she also finds herself providing psychological help. She is someone the new arrivals can talk to as they try to process what they've just gone through.
Jedna gospođa vozila auto bez prestanka sa bebom 2 mjeseca i dok je bila za volanom morala dojeti to dijete. Znači ljudi su se bojali uopće stati, zaustaviti se da odmore, znači borba.
Konstantin, a father of 6, managed to get his family out of northeastern city of Kharkiv a day before roads were blocked.
Собрал детей, положил в бус, положил у меня грузовой бус, поставил сидушки, поставил с той стороны укрепления, с этой стороны 2 двери поставил и матрасы. Чтобы наверх поставил, сейчас они внизу лежат. Вот, чтобы можно было выезжать, это матрасы, двери, там еще стена от шкафа, одна стенка, для того, чтобы, если будут осколки или что-то, чтобы защитить детей.
Konstantin plans to stay in Croatia and get a job as soon as possible. And he is not the only one who wants to start working straight away. Croatia is quickly drawing up legislation to give refugees the right to work and study.
Tu je jako dobro, da, pogotovo za djecu, da se što prije uključe u obrazovni sustav, za odrasle ljude, koliko god to možda grubo zvučalo, ali je kvalitetnije rješenje da ljudi počnu raditi nego da sjede u sobi i čekaju dostavu humanitarne pomoći.
About 2,000 refugees have come to Croatia so far. They've been housed either in reception centers like this one behind my back or in a private accommodation. The country is preparing for the second wave of refugees and it is expected to be much larger. 4 million people could flee Ukraine, and in that case, Croatia could receive up to 35,000 people.
Croatia has the capacity to take in more Ukrainians, and its people are welcoming them. The memories of the war here in the 90s are still very much alive, and Croats strongly sympathize with the Ukrainian people. Maria has taken in 2 Ukrainian families. They are staying in apartments that she usually rents. A third family is expected to move in soon.
Dokle imaju uvjeti da ljudi ne mogu se vratiti u svoje domove, da se to ne smiri, dokle smo obavezni da ih držimo. Ja gubim na tome, ali ne gubim, dobijam na drugom. Primila sam ljude i spasla njima dječje živote. Eto, to je to.
One of the families staying with Maria is the Palivodas. Yevgen was working in Germany when the Russian offensive started. He managed to get his family out of the southern city of Южноукраїнськ.
Я вважаю, хай залишаються на даний час тут. Хай роблять документи, бо в країні зараз дуже тяжко і робити нема ні роботи, праці, грошей. Я вважаю, хай поки залишаються тут. Вертатись додому може колись, я не знаю, може пізніше.
However long they stay, Many of these refugees are going to have to rebuild their lives from scratch.
А що робити? У мене там дом є і квартира є. У нас, говорять, лучше плохой мир, чем хорошая война.
UN officials are saying this could be the biggest refugee crisis of this century. Ukrainians fleeing the conflict have lost a lot, but they are also finding a big welcome on the other side of their border.
Hrvatska izražava svoju punu potporu ukrajinskom narodu koji u ovim teškim trenucima još jednom gine za europske vrijednosti.
Veljko Skenderija, TRT World, Zagreb, Croatia.
From Croatia to Romania, we will continue to follow how the conflict in Ukraine is impacting the region. Thanks for watching this episode of Across the Balkans. We leave you now with scenes of refugees fleeing to Eastern Europe in search of safety. See you next time. Bye-bye for now.
Keeps crying because he lives their father.
А папу оставили в Киеве.